President White, it is my pleasure to present Terry Peel, class of 1968, as the recipient of the Millikan University 2019 Alumni Merit Loyalty Award.
Trevor was right. I did receive the Young Alumnus in 1997. I've just a few gray hairs, since then. But when Lori Cairns came out to Washington, and we had a few glasses of wine, and she was talking about this award and was telling me about it and everything like that. I finally interrupted her and I said, "What are you talking? Why are you telling me this?" And she says, "Oh, the award's going to you." And I said, "Well, I didn't recognize that in my background that I would be getting this award, so I'm very happy." And that's why I kind of hesitated coming up here, because I wasn't sure you were talking about me when we came up here. I had kind of misread the time limit tonight. I read it, and I thought it said 80 minutes. And then I realized there are about 8 people in this audience that have known me for 55 years. And so I was going to use a lot of revisionist history in talking about my life at Millikan. And thus, I have cut all that out and reduced the speech to less than 8 minutes. I think that, Mark Twain in Huckleberry Finn talks about you don't value the value of water until the pump goes dry. And I sometimes think of that in terms of, what would life be without Millikan, pumping the water for me as we moved along through life. Maybe I would have ended up as a lobbyist in Washington. Oh, wait, that's what I am. No, but in reality, I think, so much of what's happened to me over all these years started with experiences here at Millikan. And you think about that water going dry, that comes to mind, and when President Trump, our candidate Trump, was running for office, one of the many things he did when he was campaigning was that he tried to get senior votes. And he went to an assisted living facility and talked to a woman who was about 94 years old, very frail. He came up to her and he said, he shook her hand and he said, do you know who I am? And she looked at him and she said, "No, but if you go to the front desk, they'll tell you." And I sometimes think of that story about me at Millikan. I'm not sure I knew who I was when I came to Millikan, but by the time I left, I had a little bit better idea of what was going on. And sometimes it takes a Millikan education to really find out who you are. One thing we're all impacted here at Millikan is change. Now, Ken Liebeck and I were in a dorm that is now a parking lot. And when that dorm built, it was like the highest tech facility at Millikan University, because I think they've been living in barracks or something. I don't know before that, but it was, and now it's gone. And today we were over in the old library, and that Gothic room now is a high-tech computers and big screens up there. And chapel doesn't exist. Well, some things have changed for the better. Chapel doesn't exist anymore, the requirement to do that. And I think it's, but you look around the campus and how great it looks, and all these facilities that, we were here, we didn't know what we were missing at the time. But now you look around this campus, and it's gorgeous, and there's so many things for everybody. I mean, I hope they don't tear down the old gym, though. But but anyway, although I'm not sure at the time we would have said that. But I particularly enjoyed coming back here in February and talking to international students and talking to theater students. And they're all really smart. And I think people don't go right. You know, when I was at Millikan, I often heard, Peel, you're a lot smarter than you look. And I think these students are all really smart. They look smart. And it was great talking to them and had great questions. You know, I kind of got into this by chance. Everything seems to have happened to me by chance. At Millikan, I was really a political science student and a theater major, double major. And somewhere along the line, I had taken an international course my first year, but toward one year I was an internship in city management with the city of Decatur, with the manager, the actual, I don't know what the system is now, but they had a city manager here. And I ended up, that experience, going to graduate school and working for the mayor of Washington, D.C. That led by chance to going into being staff director in the House of the Military Construction Subcommittee, and then being staff director of State Foreign Operations Committee. All these things were kind of by chance. It really had nothing to do with what I thought I would be doing. But I think it's all based, a lot of it, on Millikan. And I ended up being shot at in Somalia twice and in Sarajevo, and working with, meeting a lot of world leaders around the world and being involved in advocating for solutions to AIDS and to helping children who haven't been vaccinated, and displaced children, blind children. It's been a very interesting life as we've gone through it. I never was able to bring peace to the Middle East. And as a theater major, I think I might have been the only theater major to ever take economics courses in the business school from Dean Smith. And I see some smiles around here. Dean Smith was a pretty tough cookie, and he didn't particularly like theater majors in his business department. And he taught me, he lectured on the deficit and the evils of the deficit. And I have to admit, after all those years working on the House Appropriations Committee, I was not able to solve the deficit. And in theater, Barb Chasteen is here tonight, or Barb Chasteen Liebeck, and there were three of us that created original homecoming shows here. And they were done on Friday night, three of them. The last one at 10 was the most lively. And that really, in addition to appearing in a bunch of shows here, that experience really enabled me a lot in getting back into theater about 30 years ago and doing a lot of creative writing. But one of these shows, the word had gotten out to the deans that there was some difficult material in the show. And so they insisted on, we used to have a couple dress rehearsals, and they insisted on coming to the dress rehearsal, and they thought it was all fine. And although probably we made a few changes after they saw it. But, and so I'm back here, I'm talking to the theater people, and I look on the wall, and now Millikan is doing Hair the Musical. At least in our shows, everybody kept their clothes on. And so, it's so much has occurred from all of those things, and as I look around the room, I have a number of fraternity brothers here. That experience was very much a part of my life. I don't distinguish the Millikan experience from my experience as being president of the SAE House and being involved there. I think it's all tied into, and I hope we continue that tradition as life goes on, because it's all part of the social being of Millikan University as a welcoming place. And also, I have to say that one of the great things that happened to me at Millikan was dating and marrying Ann Davidson. And we've been partners in many things over all these years. And, but she's a star in her own right because of her work in education, health, and the arts. And, but we've learned three little words have carried us through these 51 years of marriage. And that is, you are right. So finally, I'm not going to use my 80 minutes. I'll yield back my time. But you know, one thing, when we came to Millikan, we all started here by going to freshman camp. Now that would be called first year camp now, and probably a seminar in an environmental experience. But, and then we ended coming here by Senator Charles Percy, flying into Fairview Park and giving our commencement address by helicopter. That impressed a guy from Hillsborough, Illinois, anyway. And I was thinking that year we were all singing the Doors song, "We Got to Get Out of This Place." Now, you know, I think what we would really be thinking is, I got to stay in this place. So thank you, Millikan, and thank you for being Millikan.